here on the FDA end, besides participating, we all have been listening very carefully to absorb the input from many stakeholders that we've heard today, because we want to ensure that the clinical need in science and the current understanding of the biological mechanisms and pathogenesis of osteoarthritis are all taken into account when we modify and refine the regulatory approach to the development of treatments for this condition. It is well known that chondrocyte maturation is a slow process, and that bone remodeling and cartilage repair, if and when it occurs slowly. And we've talked today about the importance of the long-term assessment of treatment benefits and long-term measurements of study endpoints in osteoarthritis trials. And as was alluded several times throughout the day, it is clear to many of us that the model of osteoarthritis product development with 3 months trials and symptomatic improvements, that very model which worked so well for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, is probably not the right model for the development of treatments aiming to change the disease course in osteoarthritis, delay its progression, or in case of advanced therapies, cell and gene therapies, perhaps even improve the processes of cartilage regrowth and regeneration. The concept of the composite endpoint, which was presented today during the third session, along with the analytical effort that was undertaken to demonstrate different sample size considerations and various trial durations, is just one of the initial steps in moving toward incorporation of methodological and study design features to enable evaluation of products expected to have, however you call it, disease changing or disease modifying effects in osteoarthritis. We will see, and time will tell, how and whether this conceptual approach with the composite endpoints will work in practical application to study designs, and for what products and clinical development programs it may or may not be suitable. Many factors will be important here, including the effect size anticipated and observed of the product that's being investigated, as well as the product characteristics and the mechanism of action. And as many people mentioned today, the field will continue exploring other measurements and other tools, such as, for example, a functional unit of pain, activity-induced pain, actigraphy, handheld ergonomics, brain MRI for evaluation of pain perception, and use of mobile devices to improve collection of clinically meaningful data in both a short-term and long-term to evaluate joints affected by osteoarthritis. We've heard today about the need to ensure that we evaluate neuropathic pain and depression and sleep disturbance that are often present in the setting of osteoarthritis and definitely affect patients. And the field will likely continue, I hope that we will continue developing clinical imaging tools to improve visualization of the cartilage thickness and bone shape. And we all heard today this very interesting work that was presented on imaging studies and on the biomarkers prognostic of radiographic disease progression. The work on these biomarkers is very important because at the end of the day, we all want to have surrogate endpoints to accelerate the availability of potentially promising products to treat osteoarthritis. And while here at the FDA, we facilitate development of novel treatments from the regulatory perspective, we all recognize that the most difficult and the most challenging part remains in the field of drug discovery and in understanding of where the target modification or modifications would have to occur on the tissue level, cellular and molecular levels, in order to switch the imbalance between cartilage degeneration and regeneration, and to engineer a product, and hopefully more than one product, with an impactful treatment effect that's meaningful to patients and that can make a difference in their lives. And for the most part, of course, that challenging task of finding promising treatments is in the hands of the academic and clinical community and scientific investigators working in the biotechnology and drug industries. And that's why stakeholder interactions like the one we had today remain very important for successful product development. And here at the FDA, we often urge stakeholders to engage patients and to include them as partners in the process of drug development. We all understand that developing new treatments takes time and much more than the proverbial village, and that it will undoubtedly take more research and more patient engagement and more scientific exchanges like the one we had today to assess and reassess where we're going and how osteoarthritis community can apply the latest scientific advancements and instruments to finding and developing new treatments that will decrease the disability and medical and social and economic burden associated with osteoarthritis. And in conclusion, I would like to thank all of those who attended the workshop and contributed to this invaluable discussion. Special thanks should go to the Arthritis Foundation for their partnership and tireless support and promotion of patients' interests and patient advocacy. Many thanks should go to the workshop planning committee, to Jason, to Nikolai and Sadaf and Ali and Jeff and David and Lee and everyone else on the planning committee who contributed their time and efforts and most importantly, brain power to help us make this workshop successful. And we're also very grateful to the Arthritis Foundation and FDA support teams, Chidi and Katie, without whom we wouldn't be able to have this virtual meeting. And thanks again to all of the participants and panelists and speakers and attendees of the workshop for your engagement and input. So just to remind everyone that this workshop proceedings, the agenda, all of the meeting materials, meeting recording and the transcripts will be posted on the FDA website as soon as they are available for public access. And if we were all in the same room at this time, I would have wished everyone safe travels, but because we spent the entire day sitting in Zoom for so many hours, I wish everyone safe stretching for the symptomatic prevention of the very condition that we talked about today. So thank you and have a great evening. Jason, back to you.